can ignore the camera, just talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. That's kind of a bummer. They didn't even talk to me, but whatever.
Well, parking enforcement retired early today.
Well, that's good news. So,
Down here at City Hall.
I guess it's good. Chris, I think your case will go well too. So
That'll be nice.
You want me to show you my camera? I got all the tools of Robin Hooding right here.
No, kind of ignore me. Yeah,
Okay.
Just for a little setup so we can.
Okay, so I guess I'll just talk and look like we're talking to you.
This is a really interesting conversation we're having, you guys.
Well, it's very good B-roll when it finally comes out.
You guys should smile.
Unknown.
Show that we're confident. You should be excited.
We're here at City Hall.
We may never know.
Yeah.
As soon as the people start using the cards themselves, no one will be under control or direction.
Yeah, I hope the city does comment.
Back to the random acts
Yeah,
of kindness.
I don't see them doing it.
Senseless
Yeah, I
acts
don't
of
either.
beauty.
So
We're not available for comment.
Senseless.
I'm expecting a repeat of the earlier safety comments. It's all about safety. This has nothing to do with revenue.
that's probably
Think about the children.
Safety is our number one concern at all times.
we should give them a shot of us putting like a nickel in the meter.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
I'll put a card on my window and they can shoot it.
Garrett, do you mind if we take your mic off
Yes.
of you?
It's
Do
okay.
you already have
It's
it
okay.
on?
We can just boom them.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
All right.
1 second.
So James, let's just go over to parking.
Just give me 1 second.
Sorry.
One with the collection box right on it. Perfect.
Yeah.
There's a misconception. I guess the comments were in Robin Hood he didn't take the bridge. However, he was actually taking it from Keene. He was taking taxpayers' money that he was making. He was redistributing it to the taxpayers. So I feel like that's what we're doing as well. So that's why the name is wrong. Yeah, sure. James Cleveland, Cleveland. Robin Hood of Keene. The accountant
Okay, that's
yeah, unfortunately.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you guys want any shots of us putting coins in meters?
We're also
It's after hours, right?
It is after hours. So
Yeah,
it would be
I don't really want to stage anything. It seems like you wouldn't normally be doing that, right?
No,
After
we
hours.
wouldn't be giving the city free money normally.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
So let's just talk this.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I talked to that dude JP who came up to Sunday like a month ago, and he essentially encouraged me to encourage you guys to back off of Allen because he's got like bad PTSD, and he's like one of his sources in the city government.
Oh, really?
Who said that?
JP. But I was like, I don't know.
Alan's like a WikiLeaks.
Well, I don't know. He's like, they saw it as an avenue to have like an insight into the operations of things. So I told Ian, I just told the dude I'd pass it along, but I told him I'm not too active myself, but I'd pass it. But I said ultimately, I know people don't act harassingly, and you know, it seems like he's personalizing it more than he needs to, and ultimately it's his perception. That's the issue.
It's sort of more frustration than upset because it's seeing on the news and one side of the story that makes it seem as though the people who are ultimately trying to wherein if you're from this area, the majority of folks know that there's sort of a road saying that they've been trying to attack this town for several years. And it doesn't seem like they're coming from the police people. It seems like they're coming from the police to get their own agenda across, which is to undermine everything about their policies, to have marijuana legalized by means of trying to smoke it on the streets and do things that are going to get their attention because there's been a fight in the system. So, I mean, I think putting money in a meter is a great thing. I think everyone in this town has probably done that for someone in one way or another when they see that meter and they see that to run out of time. But in terms of the way that they're doing it, you know, we've seen video of the way that they walk around to have the video cameras very distance. That's why it's even a full investigation because their mannerisms, the way that they speak to people, sort of, they try to stay in this zone where they're not saying anything that's over the line, but they're saying things where they want to get about people, and then as soon as someone else reacts, they jump. And it's just, I haven't liked the way that they've operated in this town whatsoever. And I think that they're great. I think they're doing it. It's not okay. They are being harassed. It's sort of their MO. And that to me is positive potentially for a group of American citizens. It's not this. I'm saying that the stuff in this town, like just they come to every meeting and they tape record all of the city council meetings and have a blog and they talk really negatively about all of the city officials in this town, all of the people that speak out against in this town. They're videotaping right now. This is going to be on their blog and they'll do their things to it however they want it to be. I don't work for the city. But I mean, it's just, it's not a positive group of folks. If they were a positive group of folks, this entire community would be united, and that has not been the case. So I think it is important that the media at large understands both sides of the situation, and not just this sort of fun story that looks like people that are being leaders are being treated unfairly. That's not the case. So thank you for letting me share my side of the story.
Can I respond to you point?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, well, I feel like the citizenry does support us. On a daily basis, if I go out on a Saturday, I'll get at least $10 of donations. I get probably 2 to 5 checks each week in the mail from people we've saved. I get thank you cards. I've had a girl hug me. You know, I feel like there's a lot of support. And this is something, I think it irritates the city so much because it is something that the citizenry supports, as opposed to, you know, a lot of things that she mentioned I wasn't even part of. I don't smoke marijuana in public. I don't really care about that issue. But this is the one form of activism it's overwhelmingly positive, and the community does support us. You can go. I haven't even posted all the checks I've gotten, but we've saved over 4,000 vehicles since January 2013, so through January to April. And like I said, I've had so much support, people coming up and giving me money. And I don't know. I have a lot of video footage of support and audio.
Response?
Well, my response is you're putting a nickel in a meter or a quarter in a meter to save someone a $5 ticket that they know full well they were going to get if they didn't feed the meter. So it's not like you're saving someone who is in need of being saved.
No, they may be in need. We don't know. Suppose you go get your hair cut and you put 45 minutes in the meter. It's a little more busy. It took 50 minutes. And then you get a $5 ticket. It's going to hurt the businesses downtown because their customers are going to be upset that they got a parking ticket.
What also hurts the businesses downtown and business owners, if you talk to some of the business owners, if you reach out to them, they'll tell you this, that one of the advantages for the business owners of having the 2-hour parking is that someone doesn't park in front of their business all day long. So it actually deters businesses and it's hard to get parking on Main Street.
Well, don't you think a better solution would be to build more spaces and let the businesses solve the parking problem if there is one? I feel like this is a classic case of the government causing the problem and then providing a very poor solution. It's almost as if the government has broken your leg and then gives you a crutch. Well, they still broke your leg. They caused the problem and they don't provide a good solution.
Well, I think and the group seems to consistently go about this counterproductively because you're going after people that are hired to do a job. They aren't the ones that created that job. They aren't in any position to change anything, but you're targeting people that are trying to collect the money from, and give out the tickets. They're just doing a job.
My response to that is actions speak louder than words. And I could go every night to the city council meetings and talk to them about, hey, let's build more parking spots or whatever I think the solution should be. I personally don't believe in central planning, and I think that the businesses should be allowed to solve the parking problem. But I don't feel like the city would listen to me. But if I go out and I show my displeasure, I try to prevent and reduce the number of tickets being issued, then that makes a much greater impression than if I just went and talked to the city councilors. That would do nothing. That's the approach that's been tried for years in Keene, and it has yielded no results.
I don't know if you are particularly involved in this piece, but this is a deeper issue than feeding meters. It's about the entire Free Keene, Free State movement.
Well, can you provide me an example of where the citizenry as a whole went to the city council? I can provide you a great one. The only time the city council meeting was ever fully packed was on the Bearcat issue. The city council still voted to accept the Bearcat. They don't care what we have to say. I feel like I have no other method to show my displeasure with the tickets. In Article 4 of New Hampshire Constitution, I have the right of conscience. I think parking tickets are immoral because parking your vehicle should not be a crime. There's no discernible victim from parking your vehicle. That's my belief. And it's even more outrageous when Saturday morning at 8:30, they're out here writing tickets where there's tons of empty spots. No one's being denied parking. So even if there is an argument to be made, they should only enforce during peak hours, which would save the city money because people would still pay the meters. And then they would only have to hire enforcers. They could really cut back on their workforce and save money for the taxpayer.
I'm sorry, we have to stop.
Okay.
You guys can keep talking.
You can keep talking, but we have to move on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
all.
guys.
Well, if I'm all about openness. You can send me an email.
If you went through the proper channels, and I know that's a difficult concept because it's not the way that you want to do it, but you just said, I feel like they wouldn't listen to me. There's two reasons that they might not.
I've been to the city council.
There's a few reasons. There's a few reasons. And I think that this is not about people putting nickels in meters. This is about a group that has been very, to put it mildly, annoying to the city of Keene.
Yeah, but I personally don't feel like I've done anything as an individual.
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? You're lumping me into a group.
You're associating yourself with a group. You're associating yourself with a group in the way in which you choose to bring about your activism. Okay, I've been to city council meeting myself, and I brought something, and they were very receptive, and they are doing something about it. And so, not every citizen's complaint is going to be heard. Not all of mine would be heard. Not all of yours will ever be heard.
Why should we look to somebody else to be permitted to do certain actions? Should we, why allow for that artificial layer to exist? Why not just act as the best thing?
Because as human beings, we don't always think the best that we should, for the sake of others.
Right.
Human beings are very self-centered in certain ways.
When civilian, what does that mean? There's people who aren't civilians so that they have extra rights? I mean, that's essentially what it implies. Like, we have to go beg permission from somebody else. But I'd agree, people aren't perfect, but how are we got to best hold those people accountable through a system that's built on violence that says these people have extra rights and they can subsist on stolen money?
You know,
Or
this
through a
is
system where we
the
hold
thing
each other?
is that the whole premise. If you're talking to someone who's a rational thinker, okay, and you equate 25 cents going into a meter for an hour or 2 hours worth of time as being violently oppressive to the general population, people are going to glaze over and be like, what are you talking about? That is such an extreme view. It doesn't make sense. So,
Well, whether it's a quarter in there or a $6,000 annual ranch control property tax instead of owed
this is the other thing. Like, I hear these same buzzwords, and I'm the one that's been talking to you on Facebook this afternoon, Mr. Graham.
I'm not
That's
Graham.
Garrett.
Graham is over in the
Graham.
pond.
Who am I talking to on Facebook?
There's a great
I don't know.
Graham, then. Graham. Okay.
That's what he
So-
goes by, his nickname.
So, you use terms like
Well, is it not
tyranny.
theft? Is it not
Listen,
theft?
let's just hear me out.
At what
Tyranny,
level?
oppression, and comparing people to Hitler, and all of these very extreme, very irrational terms for something that's a little more mundane than how you're describing it. And I think maybe you're just trying to sort of like get people going, like, this is important to us. So we're using these, just hold on. We're using these terms to show like our passion for this specific cause. But what it does is sort of alienate you from people who think sort of differently. And most people do think differently. I mean, that's just a fact.
I think it just
I mean,
helps cut
I've
through all
never
the
compared
stuff.
anyone to Hitler, like me personally.
I've been compared to Hitler twice by different free stater people,
Well,
okay?
again, we're
Because that's
individuals.
just,
Yeah, I
We
mean,
just
I
don't
don't know.
collectivize actions.
but the whole thing is that you do. If you join the YMCA, everybody's going to know you as someone who has your gym sessions at
If
the
I went to the same gym
YMCA.
as you when we were
If
friends,
you're
I'd, you know,
if you're going to do free stater associated activities, you are going to be to some extent thought of as the general consensus of a free stater. That's
do you
just
think if you
human
ascribe-
nature.
I mean, you're responsible for how you judge others, and if you ascribe a characteristics, if you conflate the action of someone else to another person based on some arbitrary characteristic, I mean, there's some things people that you might say are free staters have done that I don't agree with, or that I don't necessarily get behind, or I might say
I will say-
it's peaceful, but I don't choose to do it myself. I mean, I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, and
I will say that I'm assuming it, and I'm aligning you in that sort of group because of the verbiage that you use, the words that you say, because, and that's what I'm saying, like, as soon as I start hearing these buzzwords and these specific ways of
And it
speaking,
stands out.
then
It
it's
stands
clear that
out.
you're connected.
Right, it stands
Clear.
out because we try to delegitimize the status quo, which is proliferated through
Right,
government
you're
schools to make sure
delegitimizing your own mission by
And
sort
that's
of
your perspective.
overblowing things out
That's
of
your perspective.
proportion.
I appreciate
I
your
mean, you
input.
really are.
I mean-
You're talking to someone who could be an ally if you didn't act so weird about stuff.
How do you know that
And I
about
know
me?
that sounds, but that's true.
Have you seen me act a certain way in this? Like pro or
Okay,
con?
sorry, I'm using generalities.
come out here and
I'm
watch
using
the parking
generalities.
enforcement. They do things like go walk halfway across the crosswalk.
You're doing another thing that's typical of free state
Yes,
thinking.
I'm
when
wrong.
someone's saying this is what I see you doing, you go, well, what about that person over there?
Yeah,
what
I
are
don't
they
think
doing?
people have more rights than
It's
me.
sort of like
We all should be
you can look
equal.
at situations and say these people are doing things that I don't approve of or appreciate, and you call them out. But when you all do the same exact thing, you say, "Oh, I'm within my rights to do this.
Yeah, but you know what the
within my
difference
rights to
is?
do that," and it's sort of like
We're
it's
we're
just
willing to talk
counterproductive.
about our actions.
You're not going to get anywhere.
You
real.
try talking to
You
any
just won't.
parking enforcer about what they've done, or
Don't
any
talk
police
to a
officer.
parking enforcer. It's their job.
I-
They're not going to
I had the
do
right to
anything
talk to them,
differently.
and it's
Well,
not like we're
you
out there.
do
We're not
have
out
the
there
right.
for 8 hours just
You have the
yapping
right,
away
and
at
just
them.
because you have the right
We
to
talk
something
with
doesn't
them.
mean you should do
I have
it.
so much video of them. I'm just
It's
walking,
called
doing my thing,
discretion.
and then the parking enforcers are chatting me up. So it's a two-way street. They're chatting with me. I'm chatting with them.
You're talking to the wrong people. If you don't want people to have to pay for parking, talking to a parking enforcement officer about that might get you a conversation, but it's not going to
No, but
change
now this is an
anything.
issue,
If
so
you
I would
want
argue
something to change,
we're being successful.
You need to go to the source of where the change needs to occur.
Yeah, but it's like the game of chess. So the king is up there. If I could go film him all day and talk with him, I would.
You're doing it. See, this
But he
is
has the
another
pawns.
thing.
He has the pawns
The
in front
king,
of
the
him.
pawns. I feel like what is that game that you dress up in
Well,
a
I'm just
different,
using
in
it
a
as an
medieval
analogy.
sort of? It's all of the analogies that make y'all sound a little Lulu. I mean, honestly, it does not make you
Or
sound
would you
legitimate.
prefer I use football analogy, or
You know
so
what?
I can't go to the quarterback?
There you go.
Obviously, you have decided
He has all
that,
the linebackers in front of
well,
him. I can't
quarterback
get to
is
him.
not really the same
The,
sort
the
of.
quarterback is the guy making the decision on what's going to happen, where he's
But
going
he's
to
not
throw
a
the ball.
king.
if he's
King
gonna
is
throw
very
the
different.
Well, the quarterback comes up with the plan. I'm just using an analogy now. Just
It's
like
not
the
a simple
king,
analogy
you know?
though, because what it does is it sort of alienates you from other people, and it also puts people who, the king, whoever you want to call the king, whoever's in charge of whatever the thing is that you're trying to deal with, you've just alienated them. You are not going to be able to have a good rapport with someone that you are calling a king just because you don't like the position that they hold.
Listen, I'm trying to have a repeated conversation with Kim.
I don't
When
consider
he
it a
refuses to
derogatory
talk to me,
term.
I'm looped into this preliminary injunction. I don't even participate in Robin Hood. These guys are my friends, but somehow my name is looped in, and it's by people conflating actions of groups to individuals. And so now, why? Now threats are hanging over my head. Who have I harmed? They haven't harmed anybody. You know, this is all, it's just a difference in tactics. There's no property damage, there's no person harmed. It's political.
Obviously,
And this is blowback, this
whether
is what they
you
got.
think it's illegal or not, or whether you think that it's
I
right
know that
or
it's
not.
We know that it's not. In your natural conscience, in your inner being, you know that no one here is a violent person out hurting somebody, and that these threats are frivolous.
No. I mean, regardless of how you feel about your right or ability to approach any of these folks, we'll just talk about the parking enforcement officers. It's not comfortable for a human to be approached by another human who is not trying to do them any good.
Well,
If I was
you're
up here
talking
going,
with us
so
right now.
hey, you know, blah 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 blah, I think that at a point it might become a little annoying.
I don't
to
do
you.
that. And
Yeah,
if you look at
we don't
the
do
Dr.
that.
Dr.
I think it
Dave,
might- I've
there's a-
seen you do it. I've seen it on like videos.
You've seen me do
I've
it?
seen you particularly.
Well, when
And
did I
A lot
do
of
that?
people proactively today approached me and said, "Hey, those claims of harassment made against you guys,
see you
I've
said-
never seen that, and
I
that
have-
seems too much." And I said, "Exactly."
Well, I'd
I
love
have
to see the
seen-
video
the
that's
video
claimed.
that I have seen, and I know
Is it
that
Dr. Dave one? Because I'm very
I-
nice in the face of this guy hurling insults
type
at
in
me.
I
Dr.
have
Dave Berman.
no idea. Okay,
On
but
YouTube.
what I will say is what I did see, and I believe you were absolutely part of this one as well, is sort of like this sort of like jolly banter that's really not that jolly, but it's sort of like a facade, and you're sort of poking at these folks saying, you know, well, you know, I can counsel you on getting a different job.
Oh, that wasn't me. That
and
was
like,
another guy.
Oh,
all
there
of
was.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, Cantwell was out with
Not
us then.
okay.
Yeah.
There's a guy from out of
I don't
town.
care. I don't care about the legalities.
He wasn't
of it.
even
It's
feeding the
not
meters.
okay.
He was
Yeah,
just
he
out
was
there
there
talking
just to I wouldn't say harass because that's a criminal
Just to
language.
talk
but
with them.
he was he
Make
was
them
there
think.
to banter the enforcers, and
I mean, I think that, you know, especially in the position that you hold with not being anti-government and anti-law and anti-rules and all that kind of thing, that of course this is going to be a nitpicky, like, did you legally harass or did you not legally harass? And I'm sure that if the city is probably pretty clear that they have the evidence against you.
I'd love to see it. They
If
haven't sent us
are
any
bringing
evidence.
this up in court, because they did do their investigation.
No, but first-
regardless.
Yeah, but if we're exonerated in
Regardless.
court, would that change your opinion of us?
Wait a minute.
I think
Wait
it's
a minute.
important.
I'm just
You said
saying- I'm
that
just
we
curious.
don't respect rules or laws or want that or something to that
Whether
effect.
you
But
were
that's not true.
whether you're
Oh, I was saying, suppose we are exonerated in court, or if the city drops the case.
Oh my God, that would
Will
not change my
your
opinion because it's the action. It's the action that I am appalled with. You know, it's not
Well,
whether
don't
or
you
not
think we
it's
should have our day in
illegal.
court and defend
Well, I don't think the
ourselves?
court
You're having
necessarily
your day in
proves
court.
anything
That's
either, though.
fantastic. You
Well,
get to
that's
have your
true.
day in court.
But
But
why
it's
should
still.
I have a day in court? Why should I be demanding?
I'd say the judge
I
is
have
biased.
no idea because I don't know who you are or what your place is in this.
I'm just
so
saying, I've not been involved with it.
I have no idea.
Well,
So
you
I'm
you
just-
you
I'm
have now
showing- I'm
you've
showing
talked
it
to
as a
us
demonstration.
longer than any enforcer has. I mean, do you feel harassed?
Well, no, I've had
We're
long
within 50
convos
feet of
about
you.
it.
We
I came
filmed
to you to talk. I did not. You were not. Well, you're filming, but like I am
Yeah,
not.
this shouldn't be considered at all weird. I guess there's some people who consider it like strange, like with the filming and all that. But I think like my
like
perspective
being
is
filmed all the time
yeah.
constantly.
My perspective is like in public, I'm somebody who wants to proliferate video recording. I welcome people to video record me. So like
So you
for me,
have a
I'm
comfort
trying
level
to
with it that probably most people don't.
yeah.
You know, like I would not want to be followed around with this video camera taping everything that I did, especially on my job.
What do you think about?
I would find that very rude and
Yeah, but
offensive.
don't you think there are
It's a different-
employees? Like,
What?
have you ever had a job where your employer monitors you, like looks over your shoulder?
No, I would not feel comfortable in a job
about
where
like,
I
I've
was
had plenty of
monitored
those
over
jobs.
Do you have a right to kill a police employee who stopped you in a vehicle? Or would you?
I am assuming that yes, you have a right to, because that's the whole premise of this recording everything
Hey.
that goes on.
Hey,
in
Kay.
That's everything.
Hi, Kay.
She doesn't look like you know, Not tall enough for GMA.
I'm not GMA. They're inside there.
Oh, okay.
They're inside there. But I don't know. Just it's.
Are you bothered?
I don't care about the legality of it. I just think that what you're doing is missing the point. It's not nice. It's nice for the people. I mean, someone that comes out and you save them a ticket, they're gonna be like, oh, thanks for saving me a ticket. That's the easy part, you know? A lot of us do this and we don't get any recognition. I've put money in meters for people for years, and I used to be offended when I got a ticket until this started happening, and then I was like, Jesus, I would be happy to pay my ticket and not have a quarter be put in and not have
I don't think most people feel that way.
That's great.
You use the word most. You don't know.
Yeah, we're collectivizing.
Well, I would
You
say
don't
the
collectivize.
people that send us checks in the mail and hug me and give me money in person.
I guess that's
There's
true.
definitely
Don't go
been
around
detractors.
I feel
harass
for your
workers.
sort of wanting to.
There's
none
been
of us
some
do that.
detractors.
But
None of
I
us
really
do
think
any
that
harassment.
the way that it's gone about with this group, and if you associate yourself
How
in
is
this group,
that?
Do
Sorry.
you feel
It's
harassed?
not gonna happen.
Does this
Yes, I
harass
do.
you? You want me to stop? I won't post it.
If you chase me to the
I
bathroom,
mean,
I
it's
might.
ridiculous. It's
We
ridiculous.
don't chase them to the bathroom. They go into
It's
City Hall,
juvenile. Let's just
or
say
they go into the library on a break. We stand outside, and it makes it sound like we're
That is
at
so,
the door.
like,
it's juvenile.
awful.
What?
It is so juvenile.
Anyway,
If you did this to your parent, if you're a little kid and you do this to your parent, do you think that they would be okay with that all day? And they're your parent. No,
It's
they would
juvenile.
not. They would be like,
creating an
"Why are you standing
article and
outside the
posting it
bathroom
on your
waiting for me?
website
Why are
is
you
also
filming
juvenile.
everything I do?"
The thing is,
Well, I didn't read that
it would
article.
be a lot different if people were actually standing outside the bathroom door. People are like, they go inside to the library,
it's
go
still
into the
juvenile.
bathroom, and people are standing outside the library.
Yeah, that
I
was
don't
something
find
I believe intentionally misleading in the affidavit. Was they said they wait outside the door when I go to the bathroom, as though we wait outside a bathroom door.
Yeah, I'll be right in.
Which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh, we're always happy to talk, Kay. You can come talk
talking
to
is
us.
great. It's just that, you know, I think that you surround yourselves with this small
try going
population
up
of
and,
people that actually
okay.
think this is great. But it's really,
Great day, Kay.
if you want to affect any real change, you have to sort of like be able to work well with others outside of the group that thinks like you.
Do you think the city?
Me too. Like if I think a certain way and I want a certain thing done, I have to be able to work well with others in order to make that happen.
Do you think the city should have worked with us? Like I feel insulted that
Yeah,
they didn't even
come
contact
talk to
us. Instead,
before
they just
filed
filed a lawsuit. I mean, like that's not a nice thing to do. To someone.
Well, they did.
No, the enforcers did, not the city of Keene.
They conducted an investigation. I think that should include you into the fact that they were not
they've
happy
not told
about
us to stop
this.
feeding
And then you
Peter.
continued to do it. I mean, do you not see how that could be a little bit?
Well,
The city's
okay,
like,
well, they've never
we've
told me that,
tried,
so I can't speak
and they're
for
not
I
responding.
figured they were trying to find any crime that they could hold
Well,
against us, and they didn't.
You know,
So
I
they
don't.
did the civil
I
things. It's
asked
like a
them to
last-ditch
stop writing
effort.
tickets.
Because
and
they
haven't
just are
done that.
tired of the way that you are going about doing it.
And I have the right to
It's
build
a very,
meters.
like I keep saying, it's a counterproductive
I have the right to
way.
build the meters.
It's
As
a
a
very-
taxpayer, do you think it's an effective
Why
use of
not?
your dollars to have some attorney filing a lawsuit against people for building meters?
You know, I
What
don't
if it's not
care.
on purpose?
I really don't care.
What if
I
you
think
go
it's a
in-
waste of your all's time and money to be feeding meters because there's other things that you could be doing that would be helping people in a more
I'll
substantial
give you an
way.
example. Let's
But
say
that's
you
just
go
my
eat at a
opinion, you
restaurant,
know?
or you go get your
I'm not
hair
going to
cut.
get
Let's
picky
say
about
you put
taxes.
45 minutes
I'm
in.
not because I'm a
And it's
homeowner.
a-
I pay taxes.
No, the
I
restaurant's
pay.
busy.
I pay for the water in my town,
So,
but
you know,
I
it
have
takes
my
50
own
minutes. You could
septic
have known
system.
that
Okay,
in
but
advance.
on the flip side, I also live on
Yeah,
a
but then
very
they're
bad
happy
road,
with me
and there's
when we
more
put
work
it
done
in
on
there.
that. So, you know, I used to think, why the hell am I paying for a water
Well, I
system
don't-
that
I
I
don't know
don't
what-
use? And then I
where
thought,
you're
well,
from
there's
has
other
anything to
things
do
that
with it,
I am
but-
getting privileged for that other people, you know, other people don't have all this maintenance that they need
Okay,
on their
well,
road. So it's sort of a give and take. I'm really not going to worry about it because
I pay them all the
sorta-
time.
everybody
I've
sorta
paid,
has
I've
to
probably paid them 10,000 times now.
put in time, effort,
You know,
money,
the
and
city's
whatnot
still
to
getting
have
the
to
money.
live in a
We're paying
community.
it.
But we're all too different to be able to just voluntarily do that. We're
Well,
not
I
going
live in
to.
Keene,
I think they
so
need to make the transition.
I live
that
in
direction.
Keene. I want to change.
I mean,
this
it's
thing.
great. I volunteer 20 to 25 hours of my time each week. I'm not someone who does it, who sits on my ass and,
Well, I feel like
doesn't
we're
do
gonna beat 'em,
anything. I
but
literally
society-
volunteer that much time
Well, what
to
if we do? Then what are you going to say?
community efforts and efforts for
Well, there's a
folks
lot of
that
people
need
that support
help.
us too.
And I think more people
In the
should
last
be doing more of
day,
that.
I've
But that's
gotten
just
over
my opinion.
$1,000
You know, not
donations.
everybody thinks that way. And, you know, you just sort of have to deal with it.
Well, that's some portion if I wanted to hire a lawyer.
I'm a cause person myself, but
That's
I
gonna buy a lot
don't
of
work
people.
like this. I don't like sort of like try to like poke the beehive to get what I want. I don't do it that
I
way.
didn't feel like I was poking the beehive. I felt like I was just
Okay,
standing
well,
here filming.
I guess we'll see.
Came out.
I feel like we have a very strong case. If
But
they had
I
a
feel
real
very
case
confident about the
against us,
court
they
case
would
even
have
without
brought
getting a
criminal
lawyer. I've seen criminal charges in Manchester.
There's not been a date decided. They just filed a suit. Well, we have 30 days to respond.
And they've just like, I think they've brought a lot of negative attention on themselves with this case. And most people are laughing at this.
Okay, well, I'm James. It's nice meeting
That's,
you.
I mean, honestly, that's why I wanted to say something,
Okay.
because I know the deeper issues in this. This is not an issue of the city of Keene is trying to mean to a bunch of people who are just trying to do the right thing. Because y'all don't like the city of Keene any more than they like you.
The parking report.
Seriously, you know? I mean, it's certainly...
I thought
I don't have
Christy
anything against the
Long,
individual.
she got a ticket.
But the positions you do, and as soon as you attack a position, you attack that individual, just...
And I don't feel like we ever attacked the parking resources. Like, I realized that, yeah, there was someone who came out with us one day, that Chris Cantwell guy from New York, who his purpose was to like harass and intimidate, well, not intimidate,
Have you ever had something in your life change?
to antagonize,
like,
I'd say,
imagine you
the
lost
parking
your job?
closer. But I think he has a right to do that. That's his free speech issue. I mean, that's not my tactic. That's not the way I approach
How you make money?
yeah. We're not doing anything like that.
Why do they pay
It should
you?
be like if you're breaking the law, they charge you with a crime. But they're not doing that.
No, I don't.
And I think because if it's not...
Okay.
You know how laws are. They're written in certain ways, and if
Well,
something doesn't fit...
You know,
They're written in
we
such
can
a way that
disagree,
people
I guess.
have no idea
It's
what they
nice.
are.
Well, they're written in such a way so that you can be doing something that's not okay, but it might not be illegal. It might not be nice or right or good, but because it's not legal, not illegal, then you get away with it. Similar to what they're doing at Bad Stuff with selling the synthetic marijuana. You know, they're doing something that's not
I
illegal.
wouldn't say that's the equivalent of free speech, though.
I don't even want to try to equate because things are on different levels, definitely. So, but, you know, it's just...
I'm sorry, you know, I don't...
Everybody has to learn to play nice in the sandbox, whether it's in your job or it's in your community or whether it's with your activism, or you're just going to be like up against a brick wall all the time.
Well, you know, I give a lot of money.
And I feel like this
charity,
group
I'm sure
has a level of frustration and stress from banging their heads up against a brick wall because of the way that you're going about doing this. It's counterproductive.
I
I don't know. I don't feel that way. I see why people would think that we feel that way.
I think it's the verbiage. To me, it's the. I mean, I was talking with or posting on Rams, and someone knew me to be someone who is advocating for getting spice out of the town, and then called me some really bad names and said terrible things about me, and thought that was totally fine.
Actually, that wasn't anyone from around here. That was some girl I went to school with. I don't know.
Who are you?
I'm Graham.
Are you Graham?
Yeah.
I think we were talking superficially on Facebook today. So I'm sorry, like I'm all for people like fighting for their causes, but I just see
Unless they
this.
don't ask for permission.
No, I just see this huge counterproductive thing for everything that I see. Everything that I see with the group, and it's that word. It's the tyranny, oppression, cages, all of this.
I mean, like I said before, a cage is
It's
a
like
cage.
you're creating a fantasy world that doesn't.
I don't think it's a fantasy world. I think it puts a highlight on things for what they really are. To refer to being in jail as being in a cage, I mean, that's really what it is.
I mean, there is a certain programming of language that I try to be conscious of. Like, I understand that if you write caging and kidnapping instead of arrest, that people are going to see that that's like a subversive publication as opposed to
disregard everything.
some standard publication.
Let's say you're enjoying a
But at the
beer
same
outside,
time,
you
like,
get arrested.
you know, I try and speak to like both audiences, like use words that don't reinforce like the system that. Because if you read about arrests like in the regular newspapers, it just basically gives the facts as the police delivered them, as opposed to giving a more holistic view of the story. And I see why people are afraid of talking about anything without like the court process and everything being
Well, you know, things work in certain ways, and there are always politics involved, and there are always things that people would like to tell you when they can't because of their position. There are always things that people say when they shouldn't. I mean, but you have to really be able to work within a system rather than trying to like smash it down.
I don't know. I mean, I'll go to the State
that's
House
what I think.
occasionally.
That's
but
what I think.
I'll get dressed up and go to the State House occasionally and
necessarily
give
a
a
good idea to
speech
get
or film
drunk,
people
but
giving
if you
speeches.
don't hurt anyone,
I wouldn't want to do that all the time because I know that's not going to bring about like.
Yeah,
an
and if
end,
they hurt someone,
But
they
that
should
is
be
actually
held
what
to
brings
account.
about more change, because if you go to a state house and the actual senators and representatives hear from the public, that's where change can be effective, because that's where laws are made. It's all about where the laws are made. It's not about like war on the street, you know.
I don't want it to
because-
be about where the laws are made though, so I don't want to exactly like. I don't want to like base my activism around like a system that I don't want to exist in that manner. I don't want things to be so important in Concord, so like I'm not going to spend tons of time in Concord for that reason. Like I'm from Concord originally, but speaking about the state house specifically.
You know, I went to school in Atlanta, so
But I feel like Robin Hooding could change the way people think about their ability to end enforcement of this silly mechanism.
I mean, I was picked on.
For me, I find it more of like an annoyance, like having to fill it. Like why you can't just park somewhere and get out of your car. I'll sometimes just forget to fill it.
Yeah, well, I don't use that.
I've actually never gotten a ticket in Keene. So.
I've gotten tons of tickets. I always forget. Well, I don't always forget, but I typically don't have a quarter. And but I know that I should have a quarter. You know what I mean? Because there's a law that's already set out. I already realized this. So if I wanted to fight that, I could do it in whatever way, your way.
Yeah, but what if you had told them that you didn't know what that word means?
I don't know. I think it's.
But I already know. I mean, it's like
And then they had not
my
made
bad.
Yeah. But I don't know. Working within the system, it's like there's so many outside of the system things that I think if they grew, it would be more productive. When Occupy New Hampshire was kicking off, I was hoping that they'd have like a permanent occupation somewhere. But instead, the idea that most people wanted to do is have like a public show place that gets evicted and then it's over.
Yeah. Well, you get a lot of hype with anything in the beginning, and there's only a core group of people that ever try to really affect real change. You're probably one of the core group because you're out doing things. You know, there's going to be a lot of people rooting you on that aren't going to step out to do a single thing, whether it's appropriate or not. So, you know, you got 100 people saying, yay, go you, and you're going to have like 5 or 10 actually doing any of those street park,
Well, that's
any of that
one reason I
actual,
like being the people here.
anything that's going to do anything to affect any change. So, but just having city officials, state officials working well with community members that aren't in those positions, I think that's a great plan. I think that's, you know, it's sort of a compromise, but I don't think that it can just sort of disassemble the entire way that society has been built up over time. Because even if there's some pitfalls in that, there are also